everybody, how you doing? Woo! Well, that's good. My name is Bill Matz. Oh, no, we're not on camera yet.
Yeah, you got
Woo! My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I can't see the monitor with the mask on. I had no idea we weren't on yet. But now the mask is gone. The hat is restored, and we can get underway. I am joined tonight, if you haven't heard, by Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, and the fly-by-yourself Broad Street Hockey's own, Kelly Hinkle. I'll do it again. Woo!
We've been here the whole time.
That was, that's the...
Thanks to everyone who watched everything.
We have another hour.
Through the watch-along, and now this post-game show talking about the Flyers' third win of the season, William.
Talking about the Flyers. It was a really strong win, a bit more of a vintage defensive performance than we've seen from the team thus far. Ended up with how many blocks? They blocked 34 shots in the game. A whole bunch of guys with 3 and 4 blocks. We still aren't really seeing the volume shooting again, but at least one aspect of what they were doing so well for the majority of last season came back where, Boston had a lot of shots. They had a lot of attempts, but when they did get through, Sam Ersson held strong, 6th career shutout for him. And I would say they limited a team that has really, really torched them in years past. It's the first time they've beat them in regulation since 2011. Which was a hell of a year for the Flyers, for the Flyers-Bruins rivalry. But I am pretty pleased with the team I saw tonight. Would like to see more offense could come around. Obviously, the reason we all watched this year, Matvei Michkov, he did have I wouldn't say successful attempt, but it's the first time we saw him get the puck up and actually get it on net for a Michigan attempt. So that's fun.
It was saved, but it was a Michigan.
Yeah, he actually tried.
Pulled off a Michigan.
He actually pulled off trying it. He's been stopped. He's failed to get the puck up a couple times, but tonight we actually saw him go for it and almost pull it off. But I want to start tonight with the man who allowed 0 goals to David Pastrnak and company. It is Sam Ersson with the shutout, Kelly Hinkle. I can say it now,
You can say it now.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Ersson tonight.
Great.
Square to a lot of shooters, and we had a super chat I missed during the watch-along.
Vesna winner, Samuel Ersson.
Our good pal.
Sure. Why not, JH? Why not?
Good friend of the show, JH.
Listen, who says no?
Yeah, I mean, start from here,
Exactly.
The first 9 games didn't count. We are a 9th of the way through the season now. Let's go.
I did the math. He is now up to, if you round it, which I believe you would have to do, it comes out to like 88953. So actually, he's at 890.
There you go.
He's at 890 save percentage.
Yeah, 890, that's like league average at this point.
It's not that much lower than league average.
It really isn't. And Ersson, we all said during pregame, like, he's played better than his numbers, but his numbers are so bad
they're not great.
That even if you bump him a little for how bad the defense has been, it's not as if he's been very good.
Yeah, agreed.
Tonight he was very good.
He was very good, yeah. There's no getting around it. He looked great.
Yeah, I was definitely happy with what we got out of Sam Ersson. And now the question, how many more, tonight Kolosov's the backup. They play again in normal day off, and then they're back on Thursday for the Halloween game against the Blues. Do you ride with Ersson? Do you try to keep him a little more rested?
No, I ride with Ersson.
Okay.
I absolutely ride with Ersson. He has such a good game. And it's not like it's a back-to-back. He's got the day off. They're not practicing at all tomorrow. Yeah, there's some travel, but Boston.
It's not exactly.
Too far.
Yeah.
They don't practice tomorrow. They're at home against the Blues, a team that I believe last I checked was losing 8-1 to the Ottawa Senators tonight. So
powerhouse Ottawa Senators.
Powerhouse Ottawa Senators.
They do have the best player in the league.
No, I think it's a no-brainer. You go with Ersson for Thursday. The only way you don't is if there is some sort of we promised Kolosov he was going to get into X number of games before this date type of thing.
That's if the October deadline is hard and fast. It was at one point reported like they have through October. That is the 31st on.
I think
I don't know.
I would have to believe that Alexei Kolosov's camp is not so delusional to think that not only can he demand to be an NHL goalie right off the jump, but can demand to be an NHL starting goalie off the jump. I would hope they wouldn't go that far.
No.
That would be truly
That
insane.
would be something else.
If they do go with Ersson, though, and Kolosov is dressed, maybe that's just another way to placate him. Like, you're earning the NHL salary, you're up here, you're with the team, and not only are you with the team, you're on the bench. Like, you're actually dressed, like you're here.
If Ersson were to struggle, you get in the game.
Are we placating him, or is Fedotov just
Oh,
crap?
no. I'm just trying to think of it from his perspective.
Yes, yeah.
Like, and
What
Fedotov has been so bad
Yeah.
that it makes sense.
All I'm saying is that the only way, to me, it makes sense for you not to go with Ersson on Thursday is if you promise Kolosov another start.
Fair enough.
Which I think would be insane.
That would be
do,
insane, yes.
Because Sam Ersson finally has put it back together. He looked like the same guy from that great start on opening night against the Canucks.
Yes.
Why not ride him? See if he can do it again.
That's how it
against a
works.
not that great team.
Absolutely.
I did. It was funny. I was speaking of the Blues. We'll get back to the Flyers, but it's just very funny to me on 32 Thoughts this week. You know how no one, you're not allowed to offer sheet. There's this unspoken agreement. And
Apparently now you are.
There's this thought of, well, if the Blues do well this year, maybe it's something we should copycat.
Ooh.
It's like, or maybe you should always pursue really good players.
Yeah, right.
Like Philip Broberg, I think, is before tonight 7 points in 9 games. Like, I don't know, maybe anyone could have had him. But that's a conversation for pregame on Thursday for the Blues game on Halloween. Right now, we are talking about a shutout victory for Sam Ersson and the Flyers. Ersson absolutely stood tall tonight. He was the man. No goals allowed. We've said, he's been maybe better than his numbers, but if you're going to be a number one, which is what we're finding out about Ersson this year, that's the point of his season. Yeah. Can we count on you for 50-plus starts a year?
Exactly. That is the point.
You can't give up, as Charlie has said, one leaky goal a game. You can't average, he had a nice night, but that one, you have to really cut down on those. He stopped the 50-50 pucks tonight, and he didn't give up anything bad en route to giving up nothing. I think this was a step in the right direction, but I think we got to give some props to the defense as well.
No, I think this was a game where both things got better. Ersson got better in the sense that he made some big saves. He did. He had a good game. He settled things down, especially in the early going. I thought he made some big stops then. He made a couple. There was that extended 5-on-3 where he came up real big, made a big stop on Pasternak. He was good. By the same token, there really weren't that many breakdowns leading to high-quality scoring chances. We talked about the one game where Ersson gives up 2 shorthanded breakaway goals. And you're like, okay, awful that you give up 2 shorthanded breakaways in one period to a team that had 3 shorthanded goals the entire season last year. That's bad. But a breakaway isn't guaranteed to be a goal. Goalies stop breakaways all the time.
It happens.
The Flyers in shootouts before the last couple of years basically got stopped every single time because they stunk at it. But it's also because breakaways are stoppable. Goalies stopped them a lot. Ersson was not getting those saves. So what happened in this game was, number one, Ersson was making all of the low and mid-danger saves and a couple legitimately tough ones. But the Flyers defense and the Flyers team, the skaters, were not giving up those shorthanded breakaways. They weren't giving up those dramatic breakdowns that forced Ersson to make the big momentum-changing stop. He didn't have to make that many momentum-changing stops because the Flyers weren't giving up big opportunities all that often.
Now, Boston isn't exactly the powerhouse they've been the last few years and really the last 10-plus years.
Yeah.
But it is a talented team. They do have good players. And to hold them to only 23 shots on goal, this is something I've been harping on. Not only has the Flyers' shot volume disappeared, they just seem to be giving up so many more shots. Shot suppression. I've brought this up so many times. Last year, the only team that gave up more shots on goal a night was Carolina. And their whole thing is, we have the puck.
Right.
We shoot a lot. You never do. Flyers were second in shot suppression last year. 23 tonight for the Boston Bruins. That is a recipe for success for this team. blocking as many shots as they did, limiting the opportunities in close, keeping them to the outside. Does it feel as if now 10 games into the season, the structure is starting to come back around that was so severely missing?
God, I hope so.
Yeah, really.
Because like, this was not a fun game to watch overall. It was a pretty ugly game.
I'm glad I had you guys to BS about
it. It was a pretty ugly game. But
maybe that's what made it
But
fun.
it was ugly, not in the sloppy and mistake-prone, oh, God, the Flyers are tripping over themselves, ugly the way some of the early season games were. It was ugly in the sense that it was just a structure, defense, shot blocking, get in lanes kind of game. And while I don't think the Flyers have designs on that being the way they play every game the rest of the year, I think they needed a game like this. They needed a game to show that they have the structure.
We remember who we are.
Yes, yes.
But I need to see them string it together. Like, I need to see this continue on Thursday because I do feel like it's early in the season, but we've seen a lot of games where it looks like they're starting to put something together,
here,
and then immediately the next game it's just like full on regression to nonsense.
It's
No, you put up 7 on the Wild, who hadn't lost in regulation, and then you get killed by Montreal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Caden Primo all of a sudden looks like Carey Price out there, and it's like, well, why? They absolutely need to string some of this together, but it is nice to see a game where they're. Yeah, I need them now to turn some of this good defense like they did last year into the offense.
Right.
Like all these, 34, 39, whatever it was, blocked shots, would like to see more than 1 or 2 of them result in a rush chance.
Totally agree with you, but you needed that foundation.
Yes, you need to make the defensive plays before you turn the defensive plays into offense. Yeah, and that's what we saw tonight. Couturier did have the opportunity on the break, and Farabee, the empty netter, he makes just a good defensive play in the neutral zone.
Really
keeps his body angled to take away one side, has a stick in the lane to take away the other passing angle, gets his stick on it, puts the empty netter in to ice it with like 20 seconds left. That's Flyers hockey. That's how they win, is basically turning games into rock fights. And out of those rock fights, they have a couple of breakaways, and you're like, that was fun. Yeah, right. And but, like, this is kind of who they are. It's just now the offense needs to come around as well. All right, before we go any further, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide and live streams over 780,000 events each year. And you know what I love. The most unordinary thing about Bet365 is the early payouts across NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball. In the NHL, maybe there's a late game or something. You don't want to stay till the end. You take that early payout when your team goes up 3-0. You're a winner no matter how it ends. That's how great Bet365 is. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, listen, you've made your bets on the game. Now maybe you want to go see it live. There's no better way to do it than with the Game Time app. And now with Game Time Picks, the new feature at Game Time, it makes getting tickets for your favorite events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I just used Game Time Picks the other day. AEW coming to the Liacouras Center. Ooh. You know I want to go, so I checked out Game Time Picks. Got great seats at a great price, and you can do the same with Game Time Picks. You also get the all-in pricing, the seat view. You want to know where you're sitting. You want to know what your view is going to be. You get a panoramic shot on the Game Time app. There is a low price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section or row for less. Sounds great to me. So download the Game Time app to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
That's right. I love it. I love when we get crowd participation. So Tyson Foerster, he was one of the topics of conversation in pregame tonight. He scored the Flyers' first goal of the season on a nice passing play, went to the net, directed a cross-ice pass in. Beautiful, great stuff. last year he got off first 15 games, no goals. We've talked that to death. It's like, oh, well, he's already on a way better pace than last year, and he ended the year with 20 goals. He hasn't scored since then. Until tonight.
Heck of a goal,
breaks the scoreless tie with a pretty nice, he had 2 opportunities, buries the second one on a pass into the slot from Emil Andrae, who, if I'm not mistaken, recorded his first NHL point on the play.
Was it his first point?
He
definitely got the primary assist. It was a really nice pass.
Believe he had any points in his 4 games last year. So that could very well be the case. Foerster is a guy who we badly need to be part of this core, a part of the top 6, scoring goals and putting together some of that strong two-way play that we saw last season. Tonight he played 15:06, had a couple of hits, scored the goal. A nice building block game for Tyson Foerster.
You know what I liked about the goal? Because I didn't love Tyson Foerster's entire game. I thought he was willing. He was battling along the boards. He didn't win a lot of those battles, so I still think there was significant room for improvement. What I really liked about that goal was the fact that right before he scores that goal, he has a shot from the slot that he misses. Then Flyers get the puck back. Emil Andrae wins a puck battle, gets him the puck, and there's no hesitation. He fires it again. And it's just, I don't want him to get in the same mentality that I think Owen Tippett has got himself into, where he's overthinking things. Then it becomes, I'm missing the net. Maybe I shouldn't shoot this. Maybe I should. Maybe I got to shoot everything. The next game it's maybe I shouldn't shoot anything. I like the fact that Foerster is firing. He takes that first shot, it misses, and there's no slumping of the shoulders. There's no, here we go again. There's got to be ready in case there's another chance. And then there was, and that one he puts in. I like that about that goal. It would have been great that he scored anyway, but the fact that he scored right after missing a shot a few seconds before, it just tells me that he has the right mentality to work through this. Because I don't think he's through it entirely. I think there's still a lot in his game that he needs to clean up, but it gives me hope for his mentality.
Those were his only 2 shot attempts of the night. Comes into the game with 10 shots on goal. In the 8 games he's played, he did get scratched once. I thought there was going to be, no one's catching Owen Tippett on this freaking team unless Michkov just decides, I'm shooting on every shift.
Oh, from volume.
From a volume standpoint. Yeah. But I thought there was some talk this year, like we want Foerster to kind of take over the mentality that we instilled in Tippett last year, where it's like, shoot, man, you're one of our better shooters. Just rip it. It's the only way this team's ever going to score is with a lot of volume. Now, they only have 19 shots on goal tonight, so it's not as if he's the only one that only had 1 or 2 attempts. It's pretty much everybody. I do like, though, like Charlie said, missed the first one, same opportunity, almost the exact same spot. I can score that. Give me two chances. I'll put one in.
No hesitation, no doubt in his mind. I like that.
And I think we just need to see a lot more of that out of Tyson Foerster. I think it's a building block game. It's not, he's back. Okay, he's the guy from last year. No, he's got 2 goals in 9 games. Need a little more than that, but it's a good start.
No, I think this is a good building block game, all around, because even Joel Farabee, it's an empty net goal. Okay, you didn't really have to do anything to get that, but he's a guy that hasn't been doing anything.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just a little bit of juice, and the same with this Foerster goal. He didn't have a perfect game. There's only 2 shots on goal, but he does get a goal. So maybe this is just a little bit of a push, that little bit of a confidence booster, to get these guys looking more like themselves, because I think it's pretty obvious that Foerster and Farabee are not the guys that we've been seeing over the course of the early part of the season.
I certainly hope not.
Oh, yeah, right. I hope not. Otherwise, we're going to be having a bad time. But I don't think that they are.
Listen, we mentioned 4 forwards in pregame that just really need to get going. Tippett, Farabee, Frost, Foerster. The 4 of them combined came in with 3 goals. They almost doubled that tonight.
Yeah.
That's something we really needed, and everyone just kind of needs to get something going here. We said after the Minnesota game, all right, set and forget the first line. TK, Couturier, Michkov, even if they have bad games, they don't have games where they combine for 12 points like they did against Minnesota. You still just keep them together, and now it's about finding combinations behind them. What do you think of Tippett, Frost, and Foerster?
I thought it had some
moments.
It had some moments.
Yeah.
They had a couple shifts. Obviously, Foerster gets a goal, so it shows that he can score still, which is great. I liked the Lawton Farabee Brink line more though. If we're talking about trying to find combinations beyond that first line, which it appears is going to get some runway, and it should after the way they played on Saturday. I like the Lawton. I guess it is what would it be? Farabee, Lawton, Brink.
Yeah.
I like that line in order. Those guys, left wing, center, right wing. I like that more than the Frost Foerster Tippett line, even though Foerster gets a goal and that line doesn't.
Yeah, I like a lot of times goals are the result of other players' work, and you string a couple good shifts together, and then suddenly the ones who get the payoff might not be the ones who got in. And, Emil Andrae gets the primary assist on the Foerster goal. Now that he's had a couple solid games in a row, mixed it up a little, don't you think Emil stays in the lineup again?
He ought to.
Thursday?
He really should.
He's not leaving the lineup now.
Yeah.
At least after these two games. I mean, he might drop off, and then maybe you cycle it around. But, yeah, I think that after these two games, he's impressed in both. Obviously, he gets what I did confirm was his first point of his NHL career on a really nice play along the boards and pass. It wasn't like a cheapy secondary assist. Like he made that play happen. Yeah, he's in the lineup, especially given the fact that they're out Cam York. I mean, they need solutions on defense. And if Andrae can provide a solution for that third pair, sorry, Yegor, you're sitting out for a bit.
Speaking of bubble guys, you mentioned that you like the line. Do you think that Bobby Brink did enough to keep himself in the lineup?
I think everybody did enough. I would be surprised if they changed the lineup.
After a win,
after a win, but also I'm guessing this will be a win that Tortorella will be happy with.
Yeah.
Now, he won't
win where they looked like themselves.
Yeah, he won't love the lack of offense, I'm sure. I'm sure there will be lots of things that he can nitpick. But he'll like the team effort. He'll like the block shots. He'll like the commitment to structure. He'll like the way they protected their goalie. He'll like the goalie. Yeah. But I get the sense that based on the way I've seen Tortorella operate, I don't think he's going to change the lineup after a game like this when they've been struggling for something to go their way.
Right.
He didn't take Dick Deslauriers out of the lineup after they won 7-5, even though the Montreal game probably wasn't necessarily a game that they needed Nick Deslauriers in the way that they needed him, or they felt like they needed him against Minnesota and Washington. He kept him in because they won and because they're trying to find something that'll stick. I feel like this game gives them more than enough reason to operate under the same plan for Thursday.
Yeah, I think you have to reward the group that was out there with the exact same lineup.
As long as everybody's healthy.
Yeah, as long as everyone's healthy. We did see Jamie Drysdale, take a shot to the seeds, but he was luckily okay.
But that's the thing, like
resilient.
Look, while that is, it wasn't funny for him.
No,
but while it is a bit chuckle worthy in retrospect because he came back and was okay, John Tortorella is going to be like, yeah, he took a shot to the balls, but also kind of like, yeah, he took a shot to the balls. Not that he's rooting for that to happen, but he wants the commitment. Jamie Drysdale is not the kind of guy who builds his entire game around shot blocking. But guess what? You play for John Tortorella. Everybody blocks shots. And I think he's going to like that.
Yes.
That level of commitment from everybody, given the rudderless ship they look like for a lot of this season.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see. I can't find where Frege confirmed. I guess I can't find the tweet now. But I guess
somebody tweeted at me that Frege. I think he confirmed it on television.
Okay.
He either said it on television or someone was joking.
All right. Well, either way.
People joke on Twitter.
I have never once told a joke on the Twitter.com. But no, it's glad to see he was all right. And I'm just looking forward to, I've been begging Tortorella for some consistency in the lineup. But it's understandable that he didn't give it because the team has sucked for most of the season thus far.
Yep.
Now, this is one game. We need to, again, see them string it together. But at least for now, we're going to be able to go, okay, and we can add Thursday as a data point, hopefully, and go, well, this is what this team is. Because I think searching for an identity is something every team does early, and that's what John Tortorella did say. But we have had no idea who this team was. We knew what they were last year. They are going to work really hard. They're going to block a ton of shots. They're going to score on the rush. They're going to kill penalties.
Right.
This year, it's like, I don't know, a team with very little offense and bad goaltending. That was their identity. Yeah. Now at least they can start to forge like who they are, and it starts with a win against a team that they never beat. So that's really fun to see.
Yeah, and I also I want to counter some of the. I don't even know if this is a narrative, but it could be, because you look at the shot counter and you could say, well, they got outshot. This was a game where the goalie stole. Looking at natural stat tricks breakdown of the 5-on-5 play, if you adjust for score effects, the Flyers actually came out slightly ahead in expected goals for percentage at 50.75. Now, far from a dominating performance, but this was not a game where they got blitzed and they just hung on for dear life. They were about even with the Boston Bruins on the road at 5-on-5, which, look, would I rather them be getting 70% of the expected goals? Of course.
Sure.
But let's not.
They're not that good.
Let's not retcon this to be they stole a game because of their goalie.
And eye test wise, just in terms of like you using expected goals here, Joonas Korpisalo only gives up the 1 while he came in with horrible numbers as well. I would say he made a larger percentage of the difficult saves in this game. Like if I had
I would agree with that.
If I had they had more shots, they had more shot attempts. Flyers blocked a ton. Ersson ends up with the shutout, but Korpisalo made some huge saves in this game that really kind of kept it scoreless for as long as it was, kept it 1-0 for as long as it was. Flyers get the second one; it's an empty netter. I would say that they probably played about even with Boston, at least in terms of creating something that made you go, "Ooh." Like, I think the Flyers probably did that a few more times. There was Boston's scariest chance was when Ersson almost kicked it in on himself.
Yeah, there was a
misplay behind the net
between Andrae and Ersson. I guess they really haven't played that much together, barely at all, right? Because Andrae came over to start
Andrae came over
season.
Last year, and Ersson was with the Phantoms 2 years ago, but played all last year in the NHL.
Yeah.
So maybe they just
just got their signals crossed a little bit.
Yeah, it was scary, and we both were positive it crossed the line. But Kelly,
I thought for sure.
Kelly, the eternal optimist, said, "I don't think so." And on replay, no, and that preserves the shutout. But that was maybe one of their most dangerous chances, and it was like someone behind the net just throwing it on an out of position Ersson because he was playing the puck and kind of went, "Oh, the guy's not where he's supposed to be. Let me get the hell out of here."
Sometimes you got to get lucky.
Yeah, listen, better lucky than good sometimes, and that's absolutely what they were tonight. Let's talk about the TK Coots Mish line. On one hand, it's like, well, that's the line I want to see do all the fun stuff,
right?
Because those are the guys we need to do the fun stuff. It is a good sign that they can win with those three not having their best game together.
Can't be a bad sign.
Can't be a bad sign.
Yeah.
Can't be bad.
I was. What did you think? We did see Mish try the Michigan, and I guess it didn't count for a shot on goal, but he tried it. Coots had the only 2 shots on goal of those 3. How are they faring since their 12-point game?
Well, obviously not that good. But looking at the numbers, they did collect nearly 63% of the expected goals. Now, they did it in a different way than the Farabee, Lawton, Brink line. The Farabee, Lawton, Brink line mostly did it by generating chances. The Couturier, Konechny, Michkov line did it largely by suppressing chances, which, again, that's part of Sean Couturier's MO. In an ideal world, they would have spent more time in the offensive zone. But I don't want to... To be clear, number one, I don't want to pin this all on the 19-year-old. Number two, I don't want me to come off as me criticizing him. This is the second straight game where Michkov has not looked great.
Yeah, definitely.
Accurate.
Very solid start to the season. 9 points in 9 games. Last 2 games hasn't shown up on the score sheet.
He just hasn't been doing as much.
Yeah.
I don't even care that much whether he scores or not. Like, I know you care because you want to win your bet on the Calder Trophy. Yeah. Wow. But if he's creating chances constantly and the team isn't finishing, I don't give a crap whether he gets a goal or an assist or not. It's just the last 2 games he really hasn't even been doing that much.
It's the first time really, like going back to preseason, it's the first time we've seen him with 2 games in a row where you're like, not that much.
Yeah, he was just kind of there.
Just kind of there.
I don't think he did anything wrong.
And no,
he didn't
like,
have a bad game. He wasn't impactful.
He's a teenager. That's going to happen. Yeah. He's just set the bar so high where it's like he's had how many multiple point games already in his first 10. Yeah. It's like you almost come to expect it, and then you back up and go, well, who does that? Yeah. Like, that's not a real thing.
He was passable.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was a liability.
No, he didn't get killed out there.
Also, there was something that you mentioned on a show that I don't remember when it was, but that teams are going to be figuring him out. And like maybe we're seeing teams starting to figure him out and it's affecting his game a little bit. But like you said, he's going to figure out how to get around this figuring out.
It is once again his turn to make the adjustment.
Exactly. So maybe this is just, part of the process of him being like, okay, teams have figured out that I do this all the time and they're not going to let me do it. So I'm going to have to do this other thing.
And I do think, like, just as one example of that, perhaps because he was distributing the puck so much from down low, behind the net, below the goal line. Maybe we've seen so many Michigan attempts the last couple of games because teams are going, well, you're back there. You're looking to pass. Yeah. We're going to back up a little. Yeah. Like, we're going to try to get in coverage when you're behind the net because you're sending so many high danger passes into the slot that we need to cover that. And he's like, well, if you're going to leave me back here, let me see if I can dunk it. This is just part of the adjustment process, and it's something we're going to watch all season. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he'll be on another hot streak sooner than later. But I always talk about, like, what's the point? Now the point is, all right, counter serve. Like, they maybe are adjusting to you, you adjust back. Yeah. And that's going to be an all season game for Michkov to play.
Sure will.
All right, what else do we have tonight? We talked a lot about Bobby Brink and Brink specifically in the pregame and over the last couple of shows.
Well, yeah, he's been sitting.
He's sitting.
Back in the lineup tonight.
What does he have to do to get back in the lineup? Team low, 11:06 tonight. Now, I expect him to remain in the lineup, as we said earlier.
3 shots on goal.
3 shots.
He did some things.
He did some stuff. Is it just in a tight game, John Tortorella simply doesn't trust him? Like, is that what it comes down to with Brink and the ice time?
Well, from a defensive standpoint, sure.
Exactly.
Especially given the fact that by the time the third period rolled around, it became abundantly clear this was a 1-goal game where they probably weren't scoring another one.
If we don't get a shutout, we will not be winning this game. Right. That was very much what it looked like out there tonight.
It absolutely
we need to allow 0 goals.
Yeah. So, I think it is probably that simple. That said, he just scratched him for what? 3 straight games?
3
straight games? He's clearly not that happy with him.
Yeah.
And when you're not that happy with a guy and you shorten your bench to go with your best performing players, unless the guy you're not happy with really opened your eyes over the first 2 periods, you're probably not going to be getting too many shifts. I don't think this is terribly concerning. Like, this is just John Tortorella. I thought Brink had a pretty decent game. I liked that line. I liked the Farabee, Lawton, Brink line. I thought they had some good shifts. They also had a couple shifts where they got hemmed in. There was that 2+ minute long shift in the second period.
2.5 minutes they were on the ice.
Long shift. And look, some of that is because it happens. It's hockey. Some of that is because none of those 3 guys are plus defensive forwards.
No.
Brink has a lot of work that he still needs to do. Farabee is off and on. Like, sometimes he'll make really good defensive plays, and sometimes he will just do things where you're like, what were you thinking? And Lawton is a better winger than center.
The way Farabee was developing at one point, and kind of the way the scouting reports read when they drafted him in the first couple of years, is his off and on defensive play, like, surprising? I just thought he was going to be a much better 2-way player than he is.
I mean, it's surprising based on what I saw from him as a draft prospect, but it's
been a while.
We've now seen him for what? He became an NHLer in 2019. I've watched him for long enough that, like, I'm not expecting him to turn into a Selke contender anytime soon because we have a large enough sample of him not being all that great defensively.
It's just, like, I expect, especially for a young player, like, defensive inconsistencies. Just that now he's making that transition from young player to prime age player. I thought there was maybe a little bit more there than that. And listen, he made a great defensive play in the third period to score the empty net goal.
He does make good defensive plays sometimes.
It's just
that he also is involved in breakdowns.
Yeah, it's just still he's a defensively inconsistent guy, but that's why he's on your third line right now. And
I think he can get better.
Yeah.
Like, guys get better. But look, here's the point I'll make about defensive play. Sean Couturier, Tyson Foerster, even Jet Luchenko, you could tell from the get-go they were going to be real good defensive players. If it didn't pop, if the defensive instincts didn't pop for Joel Farabee in the first 2-3 years, like, he can get to the point where he's maybe fine defensively, but I don't think he's ever going to be great defensively.
Which
Makes
wouldn't
sense.
be that big of a deal if he got back to scoring.
Yeah, if he was back to scoring,
Yeah.
you know, at a 30-goal pace,
Exactly.
you don't have to be good defensively at all.
No, you got to do the other thing though, bud.
Got to do the other thing. And he did tonight. I actually, you know, comparing him to Foerster, because the Foerster goal for me was more about he needs something good to happen for him to get out of his own head, because the rest of his game has not been that good.
Yeah.
The Farabee goal, to me, he had already been doing good things. I thought he had a low-key, really strong game on Sunday, one of the few Flyers who did. And I thought tonight he was doing good things. I thought that line, the Lawton Brink line, it was good. He needed a goal to give himself the long-awaited pat on the back from the hockey gods of, I'm getting rewarded finally for the fact that I'm playing better.
That's fair.
That's more why I was happy about his goal, not because I think he needs a full-fledged reset. I think he might have already gotten that full-fledged reset, and he's already back on the upward trajectory. He just needed something to make him feel good that, like, this is all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I wanted to take a look at was the defensive usage and the ice time among the guys, because for the last couple of games, I feel like, yeah, Sanheim and Risto, they're looking good out there together. And the coach seems to agree, like, yeah, you're both playing 25-plus minutes. And everyone else was, like, sub-17. It's like, well, how sustainable is this? Now, Sanheim and Risto still both played over 23 minutes. That's a ton of time, especially for Risto, who's averaged about 16 over the last 2 years.
True.
But a little bit more faith in Sealer and Drysdale, especially without a ton of special teams time tonight. Sealer 21-45, Drysdale 20-31. Feels like these two are finding themselves a little bit. They did have a couple of shifts where Charlie specifically during the watch along, you're like, oh, this was not great. But that's just going to happen. Like they've told us, we need to retrain Jamie Drysdale. He doesn't know how to play hockey. It's like, all right, well, he's had a pretty nice career already for a guy who doesn't know how to play. What's going to happen when they teach him to? The ceiling seems high.
Fair point.
But
it's why they're so excited about him.
I guess that's why. It seems like maybe gaining a little more faith in Sealer and Drysdale, or is it just, Andrae and Johnson, we have no idea what to expect, so we have to put the NHLers out there.
I think it's probably a little bit of both. Honestly. Yeah. I mean, I do think that Sealer and Drysdale have been incrementally looking a little bit better as we go. But also, like, you can't really trust
it is
that third pair with too much.
It is insane what kind of a steadying force Nick Sealer seems to be.
It's pretty wild.
He's a good player.
I know, but it's just when we got him, I don't think this is where we expected to be with Nick Sealer.
He was thinking about just hanging it up.
Right.
Like he was almost out of the league. And this might be Chuck Fletcher's greatest find, quite honestly. There's not a ton. The failed Ryan Ellis trade is still maybe one of the best moves he's made. Just because, on paper, it still kind of looks good. The other two aren't in the league either. I think Myers is playing a little for Toronto right now. But anyway.
What I'm happy about with Sealer, the fact that he's back, it's not even that I'm expecting the Sealer-Drysdale pairing to be fantastic right off the bat. I'm certainly not expecting Jamie Drysdale to step in and be Sean Walker right from the jump. What I like about it is the goal of this season, one of the big goals of this season is developing Jamie Drysdale. It's not like the primary goal, but it's probably top 5, maybe top 3, depending upon your view of his importance.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, and you're going to do that the right way, I think it's important to have someone partnered with him who you know exactly what you're going to get every game. You couldn't put him, and I say this, I really like this player. and not even just stylistically. I'm just talking about consistency. You could not put Jamie Drysdale with Shane Gostisbehere and then be like, go develop, because you had no idea what Ghost was going to do on any given shift. There was that was the opposite of stability, and that's what everyone loved about Prime Ghost.
Yes,
because he would potentially do any random thing on any shift. With Sealer, you know exactly what he's going to do on every single shift. And that allows Drysdale to get into a comfort zone of, okay, well, my partner's always going to do that thing. Now I can focus on doing all the other stuff every single night until I get hopefully good at it all.
They would be fun together, though.
You would love it.
I would love the chaos.
Me too.
I would absolutely love the chaos of it all. I don't think they'd win a ton of games or have an especially flattering plus minus.
No, but it'd be fun.
But some fun stuff might happen.
Yes.
And it might be the only situation in which I could justify 2 defensemen on a power play. It would be fun. All right. Before we go any further, why don't I tell you about our good friends at Rite Aid, your local Rite Aid pharmacy. Hey! Don't miss the big game. Don't miss your upcoming Halloween parties. Don't miss Thanksgiving. Any of the fun ahead, because you're sick. No one wants to get sick. The best way to keep yourself healthy is get a flu shot at Rite Aid. And while you're at the pharmacy, stock up on everything you need to get through flu season. The CDC recommends getting a flu shot every year because a person's immune protection from vaccination declines over time. So help protect yourself against the flu by getting your annual flu shot at Rite Aid today. And according to the CDC, flu vaccination may reduce a child's risk of severe life-threatening influenza by 75%. So you got to protect that family as well, and you can do it at Rite Aid. Flu viruses, they're constantly changing, so getting your annual flu shot formulated to protect you against this year's flu strain is important. And when you're there, you can get a rundown from your pharmacist of all the vaccines you may need, get a vaccine review, or ask for recommendations from your pharmacist, and you can always stock up on cold, flu, allergy essentials. Rite Aid has what you need to get you through these transition months. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. You never know. Get everything you need at Rite Aid. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule an appointment at riteaid.com. State, age, and health restrictions apply. Ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for details. And while we're here, you got to keep yourself healthy, but you got to keep yourself feeling good about yourself. So maybe you're thinning on top a little. Maybe you want to get that beard thicken up. Whatever it is, check out Glatt Hair Restoration by the Morgenstern Medical Group. If you've been listening to John Marks for any length of time, you know he's not just a great spokesman. He's a client, and John looks tremendous. John has a head of hair like mine, honestly. You could never tell, and it's because at Glatt Hair, you get a peerless approach to care, an expert team, unmatched Glatt system, a state-of-the-art location, and stellar results under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern. And it's because hair restoration is what they do at Glatt Hair. Whether you need laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery, they do it all because each patient receives care best suited for them. Everyone's hair is a little different. Everyone's in a different stage of hair loss. So obviously, your treatment's going to be different. That's why Glatt Hair is here for you, and each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. All right. What else stood out to everyone about tonight's game? Because I'm going to be honest, we've been talking about this for like 4 hours now. And
it was,
what the hell else even happened tonight?
I know, unfortunately, an unevent. Like, there weren't a lot of events.
This was a low event game.
Happy, as they say.
Yes. And this team, listen, right now, the way the offense is functioning, their best chance to win is low event hockey.
Yeah.
So I suppose this is maybe a blueprint, at least until they can get that rush game going or they can establish something of a forecheck. I thought, for a time, like when they tried that at Tippett, Frost, Hathaway line, I was like, oh, okay. That's a good idea. Hathaway, good at getting to the net, good at getting into the forecheck.
Right.
Maybe we can get something going that way. It lasted one game. Well, Frost and Hathaway stayed together, but it was with Delorier on the fourth line.
Yeah.
Not exactly a big vote of confidence there. What is it just going to take time? Maybe they never get it. Like, what is missing from this team to sustain offense? Because I know after Couturier, maybe not the most consistent centers here. They have pieces. Maybe not everything fits. But I like so many of the pieces on offense. Is it just maybe we're a little too precious with our own guys? It's like, yeah, man, Tippett's not that great. Like, what can get this offense going a little bit?
I don't know. I do think that consistency, I know Charlie doesn't want to talk about the lines, but I do think that consistency plays a part in it. I don't think that you can juggle up the lines from shift to shift and game to game and period to period and expect anything to get going. I think that there's a reason why the top line started to look good is because they got a couple of games to look good together.
Did they? They got a period, and they looked good in that period.
And then they kept them together.
Because they look good.
Exactly.
Well, if any of the other lines looked good, they would have kept them together too.
They played together earlier, but the wings were on the wrong side, and that threw everything off.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I just would like to see them pick 4 lines, give them 2 games. 2 whole games.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that.
They probably will.
Because they won this game, and they're not breaking up the first line. I thought the third line showed some stuff tonight, and the second line scored a goal. So I would be honestly surprised if they don't run it back with these lines. But Bill, to answer your question, I'll give you the boring answer, but I think it's the answer is just, so what needs to happen to get it going? Time. You just need to be patient, because I do believe that Owen Tippett is a good hockey player. Now, how good? That's debatable, but I don't think he is a guy who is going to have that many stretches this season of 1 goal in 10 games. I think Tyson Foerster is better than this. I think Joel Farabee, you're already seeing him start to maybe turn the corner a little bit. Morgan Frost really needs to pick up his game, really does, but I think he's better than this. Like, I don't think a lot of these guys in the secondary scoring element of the Flyers are all pretty much cold. And give it time, and I do believe that 1, 2, 3, maybe even all of them will start scoring a lot more than they have. In the moment, it seems like it's never going to happen, because you're watching them, you're like, man, these guys stink. And then what's going to happen? Maybe against St. Louis, Owen Tippett's going to score a hat trick, and suddenly we're going to be like, oh, look at Owen Tippett. Now he has 4 goals in 11 games. That's not that bad. Like, it might just be time. Yes, we are now 10 games in, so I wouldn't call the sample size small anymore, but it's still not that big.
It's 10 of 82.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games left. 72, some might say.
Games.
We just might need to wait a little bit. Guys are off to slow starts. It's still October.
Much like Bobby Brink discussed just a minute ago, Morgan Frost, 4 shifts in the third period, played .324. Again, 72 games left. Lots of stuff can happen between now and then. Do you think Morgan Frost a year from now is wearing a Flyers jersey? I just think it's...
I feel like we've been having this exact conversation for like 3 years.
But now we are at a turning point.
Yes.
This is a year in which, yes, he's only an RFA, and I can't imagine at this pace too many teams are like, we got to offer sheet him. But I can't imagine a world in which the Flyers are like, yeah, we need to keep him and give him a raise when the coach doesn't want to play him.
But he is playing him.
Some.
Yeah, he hasn't scratched him yet.
No, he sat him for long periods of time in a few games. He
sits everybody for long periods of time for a few games.
He does. It does seem to happen to Morgan Frost a lot.
True.
If you
just saying, he has not scratched him yet this year. Okay.
They have no centers.
I was going to say, I think that a lot of this depends on what Danny Briere does in the offseason, because we need centers. So, like, if he doesn't get other ones, then I feel like we should probably keep a hold on Morgan Frost, because somebody's got to do it. So
yeah, somebody's got to do
We
the
already
centering.
saw the guy who replaces him. It's Jet Luchenko. He's here.
Well,
he makes this team next year.
One assumes.
Probably.
Yeah.
He made the team this year.
But
I know.
But the thing is, you don't need to jettison Morgan Frost to clear up a spot for Jet Luchenko.
Jettison.
You have
I see what you did there.
You have a
good.
bunch of guys who aren't even centers playing center.
Yeah. And you have a guy who the coach doesn't like, and now you have a replacement for him. Like, that's just what it comes down to for me, is he doesn't seem interested in playing him all that much.
I just think this entire conversation changes when Morgan Frost goes, 8 for 12 in terms of points per game in November. I think this is just too early to have this conversation.
But he does that all the time.
Yeah, he does.
He does have streaks where it's like there's something here. And then he has just as many streaks like the one he's on now where he hasn't scored.
And that might just be who he is.
Yeah.
And that isn't.
But I don't think they're going to. I think if that's who he is, they're not going to rush to trade that guy. They might at some point trade him. But I don't get the urgency. Like, you're like, well, we're watching this and this is the moment when I'm like, Morgan Frost is going to trade. Like, I think this is just the same Morgan Frost.
I think that's the thing, is it's the same Morgan Frost. It's a guy who, when he's good, he's good. And there's long stretches of time where he just is invisible.
Yeah,
and
he has been.
That's what he's been for a lot of this season.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a continuation of what his career has been.
Yeah,
the toilet seat, as John Tortorella would say.
Up and down.
And I just don't see that as, if this team is going to take a step forward in the coming years, something I would commit myself long-term to. And if they're not going to commit long-term to him in an RFA year, that tells me they're probably going to move on. Like, that would just be the order of events I am expecting.
I'm not ready to have that.
I don't think this happens in December. I'd be shocked if it happens at the trade deadline, quite honestly. I think it's a summer conversation, like Kelly said, but I just don't see a long-term future for him here when he's never had a long enough run to impress the coach whose job it is to decide who's going to be part of this thing and who isn't.
Maybe. What I can tell you is this, and this is something I know for a fact. Any idea that they were going to trade Morgan Frost last summer or this past summer, it was non-existent, because I have talked to teams that had interest in Morgan Frost and basically called up the Flyers, and Flyers were like, yeah, no, we're not moving him. That's kind of why my point is that I'm not ready to say that things have dramatically changed, because we're only 10 games into a season where in the previous summer, they weren't really interested in talking about trading Morgan Frost. Like, I don't think things have changed that much in 10 games.
I think a lot of guys very much deserved this year to go, okay, last year, good building block year. We overachieved. We fell off at the end. We've been over the reasons why 100 times. But let's see if everyone can come back and take a step. And then this is the real evaluation year.
Okay.
For so many guys.
Fair.
And I think that's especially true about Morgan Frost, who is in a contract year.
Yeah.
Like, I just think
it's not,
that
he's
is
not a UFA. He's an RFA.
No, but it is a year in which you then have to go into negotiation with him and be like, how much do we like this guy? What are we willing to pay him? What are we willing to commit to him? Yeah. Are we willing to commit to him?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then what else do you...
I just think this is a premature conversation.
It is. And I just think it's something we're going to be doing all year. Again, I don't...
We don't have to.
Yes, we do. This is one of those...
Every day,
this is an evaluation year for so many guys, and I think he is a big part of that group. He plays a position of need. We need difference makers at center. If he is not one, then we need to replace him with someone who is.
Well, that's the hard part.
Right.
You got to replace him with someone better, and like, unless you get this person, it would behoove you to keep Morgan Frost, because he's not generally that bad. Like, he's generally, I think, a fine 3C.
Yeah, he's a fine middle six center, I would say.
Yes, and so I just don't. Unless you have replaced him, there's no need to get rid of him. Like, he's not actively hurting you. So, like, I don't think you need to, like, rush him off the roster. So, like
I just think it makes the most sense to identify the guys who are going to be here sooner than later.
I agree with
that. So that you can create a core that you actually build around.
Bill, we're on the same page. I agree that this is a big year, and this is a year where you are going to be making possibly final determinations on players. I'm just not ready to say after 10 games that the most likely final determination on Morgan Frost is going to be we're not going to re-sign him, so we got to trade him. I think it's just too early.
My determination is if it continues in this pattern, where it's like, yeah, man, there's first 5 games he had 4 points, nice, and then a whole bunch of games where I didn't notice Morgan Frost one time,
fair,
and then he'll come back. I bet you he has 12, 15 points in November. I bet you that happens. And then we'll see what happens on the Disney on Ice trip if he is completely invisible. Like, I just think if that's who he is, then the determination is going to be, we don't need this guy.
I think he's been a big disappointment this year, in large part because he was handed an opportunity to be Michkov's wingman.
And
he
it looked
really
good
was.
in the preseason.
He really was handed that opportunity. And John Tortorella doesn't like Sean Couturier. He's had to go back to that well because both Frost and Couturier have given him no choice.
Exactly. In Couturier's first home opener as captain, 800th career game, he got the start at fourth line left wing. Yeah. And now suddenly he's the 1C again. Like, that is the position that is the position Morgan Frost has put the coach in. Yeah. And that just tells me if the coach's job is to make that list. Has it, doesn't have it. Well, right now, Frost is still on that wrong side. But it's something we're going to talk about all year.
That's what I want to see. I don't think we ever determined whether, like, up, down, like a toilet seat. What is it? Is it better to be up or down?
I would say down, personally.
But, like, once you put the toilet seat down, that means that, like, you're done. And then,
for ladies, Charles. That means we're just beginning.
Well, are you talking about the second seat or the top seat?
In my head, I assumed it was the second.
I was thinking the
seat that you
cover.
use.
I was thinking the cover.
Oh, the cover.
I really appreciate that Bryn is the only one who has been here when Steve and I had this conversation a couple of days ago. And we were like, what is good and what's is good, bad? We don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you what is good. It is this deal on being a diehard right now, damn it. Go to allphly.com and for just $48 for that big 4.8. You know how 4.8 is so important to this team that we can never trade him. No, $48. That's $4 a month for the annual subscription to be a PHLY diehard. You get all of the benefits, access to Charlie O'Connor and all of our superstar rosters worth of premium written content, access to the diehard Discord lounge, discount on merch and events, free shirt when you sign up, all sorts of good stuff, allphly.com right now. And we thank all of our existing diehards. We couldn't do what we do here without you. Bryn, let's hit them super chats. All right, 3 super chats tonight. This first one from, I thought that's a David Wright at first. David Weigert says, did we get a glimpse of playoff Risto tonight?
Risto's good.
He had a good game.
This
he had a really good game. Him and Sam.
In terms of our pre-existing, I was as done with Risto as I am with Morgan Frost, and now I'm like, I know everyone says him being good is good for trade value, but what if him being good is just good? Like, what if we just have a good player now?
See, William, this is why I spent the last 10 minutes saying I'm not ready to close the book on Morgan Frost, because now you're saying, just like Morgan Frost, maybe we keep Risto. So in 2 weeks, you'll be like, yeah, we need to keep Morgan Frost. It's great.
Maybe I will, Charlie. I don't know what I'm going to say 2 weeks from now.
I don't know what I'm going to say 3 seconds from now. If Risto is this guy, I'm very happy to have him on my hockey team. Bradshaw fixed him.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the other thing. That's the difference, Charlie.
What's the difference?
Rocky Thompson versus Bradshaw. One of these men I have confidence in, one I do not.
Rocky Thompson might not be good at anything.
Okay.
I don't know. The power play is fixed.
I see where you're coming from. I do. Power play does look better. Forward core right now, little, toilet seats down. Not great. But
or up. Who
can say? But
at night, I know, if I leave it up and then Ava goes in the dark, she starts yelling at me. I'm like, well, who doesn't look?
Yeah, that's why. Because I remember as a kid, that was what my parents would yell at me for. You got to put the toilet seat down, Charlie.
Jungle to jungle. Jungle to jungle. Long war, many deaths.
Right.
All right. Are we still doing this? Oh, yeah. We have all these. Did you have something, Kelly, before we?
No. But to close that out,
I don't remember who was talking.
Risto and Sanheim both had very good games.
Didn't think I was going to make a jungle to jungle reference tonight. All right. From the guy whose name I can never pronounce, W. Borogol F Boston, best $2 I ever spent. Very proud of you, W. It is nice to see Boston lose. Did the Yankees lose? Is that over yet?
That game's still going on. I think the Yankees are winning.
Did all of our
rivals? It's not over yet.
Suffer defeat tonight. That would be something.
Game is still
vanquish all
going
of our
on.
enemies.
Yes, vanquish our enemies.
Yankees are winning.
Ugh. Effing Yankees. Anyway, from JH has been with us all night. I know that to be a fact. Looks like they're doing a wrestling belt instead of the mask this year.
Yeah.
Sam got it tonight, obviously.
We like a wrestling belt.
They might have got it from WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did.
They probably went.
I'm sure they did. And they were just Monday Night Raw was just at the center, too.
Okay.
So what was the giant hat? The giant hat was just for the hat trick? That wasn't? Okay.
I think it was just a hat trick joke.
I think that's I think it's
giant hat?
I think the Avs this year, their thing is the giant hat.
I saw another team with a giant hat on. I was wondering if this is just like a league-wide thing.
I've seen the Avs do it because they were on like a 5-game winning streak, so I saw it on Twitter a bunch of nights in a row.
Apparently, the story behind the giant hat was when the guys came into the locker room, the giant hat was in Sean Couturier's locker.
Okay.
Because he scored a hat trick.
That's
that
good
was
stuff.
The story behind that, yeah.
That's fun. All right, this next one, the last one from Vince, of course. We close it out with why not us?
Why not us?
Yeah, well.
Why not?
Listen.
Why not?
If the goaltending is never going to give up another goal, they have a real shot.
Yeah. We got Norris Trophy, Rasmus Ristolainen. We got Vezina winner, Sam Ersson. We've got Calder Trophy winner and Hart winner, Matvei Michkov.
Nicky Norris, man.
Yeah, I mean, show me the lies.
All right, that is pretty much all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365.
Do we have to do 3 stars?
Oh, yeah, Charlie's 3 stars. Why not, Charlie?
Yeah, sure.
Nice win tonight. Hit us with star number 3.
All right, well, star number 3 is someone who was brought up by the Super Chats. I'm going to go with one Rasmus Ristolainen.
Risto!
Thought he had a really strong game. Strong by the advanced metrics. Strong by the eye test. He's done a really good job stepping up into that first pair role with Cam York out. Risto, just a strong all-around game. And in a way, he's sort of a stand-in for the entire defense because I thought the defense overall played really well. But Ristolainen, in part because of, my expectations for him are lower than, say, someone like Sanheim, who I think also had a very strong game. I expect less from Risto, so when he provides more, I'm more excited. So I'm putting Risto as my 3rd star in this one.
I got to believe this is the first time you've ever named him a star. I have to believe that.
I probably have done it a couple times.
Star
I think it's beautiful.
number 2.
Star number 2, I'm going with the guy who clinched the game, Joel Farabee. Really nice play to ice that one because that was a game where, it wouldn't have shocked me if they would have scored with 2 seconds left.
Oh, well, I was waiting for it.
Fully
honestly.
expecting that's the way that game was going to end.
It had all the makings of an overtime game.
It sure did.
Like David Pastrnak, breaks your heart kind of thing. And Joel Farabee with a really good play. As you mentioned, he gets in the one passing lane, but has the stick trailing behind him to protect against the back door, blocks it, takes the puck down, scores. But it wasn't just the empty netter because it's an empty net goal. I thought he had a good all-around game. Thought that line that he was on with Scott Laughton and Bobby Brink was good. He's showing signs of life, and I like the fact that he was rewarded for those signs of life with the game-clinching goal. Joel Farabee, star number 2.
And star number 1?
Star number 1 is the number 1 goalie in your programs, number 1 goalie in your hearts. Mr. Sam Ersson was great. I wouldn't say he was unbelievable, but he didn't have to be. He just had to be good to great. He was good to great. Didn't make any mistakes.
Exactly.
Unless you want to count that one miscommunication. But you know what? He bailed himself out.
Kept it interesting.
He kept it out of the net in the end. Sam Ersson, big bounce back game for him after what I thought was his worst game of the season against Minnesota on Saturday, despite the fact that they won. He follows that up with either his best or his second best game of the year. Hopefully for the Flyers, Sam Ersson is back on track. But for this night, at least, he's my number 1 star.
As we talked about tonight as a building block game for a lot of guys. Perhaps Sam Ersson as well.
Perhaps.
And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. Set that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. We'll be back tomorrow with our usual 4 p.m. non-game day time slot. And if you're real interested in joining us in things, maybe think about joining us at Screwball's Sports Bar and Grill in King of Prussia on, I have this now, November 9th, starting at 5:30. We're going to do a pre- and post-game show, and we're going to be hanging out during the game. Going to get a couple beers in me, have some fun. Kelly, you're in the promo poster, so you're expected to be there. It's going to be a great time. Make sure you check us out there. Check out the events page at allphly.com for details. And follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast as well. Sure, the podcast. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. My name's Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's Kelly Hinkle. Let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.